What is up, everybody? Welcome to the Run Pure Sports NBA Final Countdown. We are on the premium show breaking down the slate for you guys. It's me, AP, and DC. AP, we'll go to you first. Your Chiefs are on tonight, so I'm sure you'll be excited for that. And big NBA slate that you took care of the playbook for. So how's everything going?
Yeah, it's going really well. I mean, it's fun how they staggered all these lock times, and I'm got my son has a cello concert tonight, so I mean it's going to be fun navigating this news. We'll head into that right after this. So
I don't know.
It'll be a good time.
I don't know if fun is the word I would use to describe the 15-minute interval lock time.
Not fun at all.
Yeah, actually, I was thinking through handling the 15 minutes because I actually like to, before every single game, re-upload the script, right? Just keep doing it over and over. And that's what I'm going to be doing and placing bets in between each game. It's probably going to be a miserable 2.5 hours, but hey, there's worse things I could be complaining about. DC, I did look it up just to see the whole 15-minute thing. They do it to have us talk about this and encourage us to vote tomorrow. That's why the NBA is off tomorrow and there are no games. So if you have anything to provide politically or NBA wise, feel free to use this platform.
How does the 15-minute staggered start time work with voting? What's the connection? I don't quite understand.
I don't know. I'm still going to read on to see, but it's that's part of their way of doing it, I guess.
Well, yeah, I was kind of short on time researching this slate because I was reading up on the presidential candidates trying to decide who to vote for tomorrow. So, yeah, that's good that they're promoting the voting. And yeah, I like that. I mean, thank God DraftKings cut their slate down to 8 games because FanDuel is like, nope, you're playing all 15 games, MANGONE. I know you're a FanDuel, or I know you play over there. So
yeah,
that's a long night of grinding NBA lineups, right?
Yeah, I'm super excited. I'm gonna be placing bets before each game. I'm gonna be, it's gonna be miserable. But again, I'll be watching. There's worse things I can complain about. I'll be watching the Manning cast while it's going on. Hopefully, Bill Belichick will, provide us with some fun, and we can watch Pat Mahomes throw some dimes. I know AP will be happy about that. But let's dive in and talk about this slate. We did get some news as we were getting on. Let me just pull it up real quick again on my phone.
Isaac Okoro starting.
Yes.
In lieu of Dean Wade, which makes a lot of sense. They had him guarding Dame in the second half last game.
Yes, Dean Wade also ruled out, and Karis LeVert ruled out. Steph Curry, he is in, and big piece of news that came. I mean, it didn't come like a second ago, but it came like kind of recently. Is Giannis Antetokounmpo? He's out, which that's clearly a huge piece of news. That's one thing that shaked up the slate completely. I know AP mentioned Okoro's in the starting lineup, and that's big, but the Giannis stuff that's a slate changer. And obviously, we're gonna have to consider Damian Lillard, as our guy JT calls him, and he's going to be an interesting one because I know AP talked about it in the Discord chat, how deep guard is, and he's definitely going to be a good spend. You got, Brook Lopez obviously will now have a lot more opportunities for rebounds. He's an interesting center that you could consider. There's a lot of different plays in the Bucks that you can definitely consider in this spot. And hey, this is the first game, and who knows what other pieces of news are going to fall. I know it's not like we're in February yet, but with it being every 15 minutes, like not all the news is completely clear. So, especially because I'm playing FanDuel, like the backloading is, I'm not saying I'm backloading everything up, but it doesn't hurt to be a little backloaded with all the stuff that you could end up getting. But AP, I'll go to you first. Let's go to that game and talk about the Bucks and the Cavs because it is the first one up that we are going to be discussing. How are you attacking this new news that we got?
Yeah, I mean, it kind of like sucks. Like when I watched this, so one, I had a nice bet on the Cavs, +2 last game. Bucks were favored at home. Giannis obviously played. Dame and Giannis played 2 of like the best games that I've seen them play, and that still wasn't enough to beat this Cavs team. Like Dame was insane in the first half, and I know projection wise, like so it depends on like what is your style of play. Like if you're going off projections, what a player theoretically should do. You're jamming in Dame Lillard, you're jamming in Bobby Portis, even Brook Lopez. Like everyone gets a bump. Like Giannis has that effect and has so much usage. Now that's all going to spread around to the other guys on the team. And what that doesn't assume is blowout scenarios. And God, it could get so ugly in this game without Giannis. Like, this team has been so bad. Look at, like, I've been betting against the Bucks like every single game just because I think they're an extremely overvalued team when you look at the pieces around Giannis. And like Bobby Portis hasn't even been playing very good. Prince is terrible. Gary Trent's been terrible. I definitely have fears of this game just getting out of hand. So I don't know. It's one of those nights where it's like, do I get contrarian? Because if you are someone that likes to fade chalk, it's going to be very easy to get different tonight because the chalk is going to be this game and especially the Bucks side.
Yeah, there's only 8 games on DK, so that's even going to condense the ownership even more on this first game, especially with all the news that we have. DC, Damian Lillard is definitely an interesting talking point here on the slate because there's other spend-up guards, right? There's John Morant, there's Trae Young. There's a bunch of different options that we can get to. He's clearly a good spend in this spot, and the usage is going to be there. We know Giannis being out is huge, so how are you going to attack it with your lineups?
Yeah, obviously, first game of the night here, and which actually means something tonight when there's the staggered start time. It is the only game that actually locks at 7 Eastern time. I mean, these are two teams right now headed in opposite directions. The Cavs are 7-0. They've won every game. They're playing good. We know they're a good defensive team when they've got, the majority of their players healthy, which they do now, obviously anchored by Jared Allen and Mobley, who, haven't always been healthy together. But when you put those two on the court together, this turns into a very, very strong defensive team. Our partners over at SaberSim, they've got Bobby Portis, at least for now, projected as by far the best value on the slate, which I understand why. But like AP said, we will see everybody, I think, flock to Bobby Portis. We've also got him as the only player eclipsing 50% ownership on the slate. Damian Lillard obviously going to get popular now, but it's not like these guys are locks to get there, right? They still, like at 8,900 for Lillard and 5,800 for Portis, you still have to have strong games, right? Portis needs what, 35 to be a pretty good play at 5,800 in tournaments. Lillard needs, obviously kind of depends on how the slate turns out, but 45, 50 at 8,900 to be a great play on a 9-game slate. So I do think there are ways to get away from this team. I wouldn't be surprised to see them get blown out without Giannis on a team that's just really kind of struggling right now in every facet. So in tournaments, I kind of lean fading both these guys, Lillard and Portis, fading this game in general. Hope the Cavs lock them down defensively. Hope maybe turns to a blowout in the third or fourth quarter. So I see a path here to fade the chalk in Portis and Lillard. And I do kind of think they're tied together, right? If one busts, I think the other one is more likely to bust as well. And actually, if I'm playing one, I'm playing them together because if they do keep this game close and both get their, 35 to 38 minutes, if it's a close game, then I think they could both get there together. I do think they're correlated, but my lean right now is to look a different direction. I think there are plenty of good plays on this slate.
Yeah, and honestly, if you want to look a different direction from Lillard, like Trae Young, he's 1,400 more. You can go to him. John Morant's 400 more. Jalen Brunson, $600.
I had one more note.
Yeah.
I think like Bobby Portis, between the two, Bobby Portis would be the one I'd be far more inclined to lock just because, and this is one reason I like the heat map, go over Rumpier Sports heat map. Power forward specifically, like not a strong position. Like it's just not a lot there at all outside of Bobby Portis. When you look at it, like I'm looking at it right now, I think like Jaren Jackson Jr. I have him as like a tournament play. Like I think John Collins gets more runs. All of those guys have minute limits. So like even if there's a blowout, Bobby Portis is going to play similar minutes to those guys, even a full game, since Memphis, Jenkins managing those guys' minutes. So I'm torn. I think Portis is the one I'd be far more inclined to lock because guard is loaded, like absolutely loaded tonight.
I think that's a good point, and just a general point. The value chalk, right? The cheap chalk in NBA, I think is way better play in general than the cheap or the expensive chalk, where they've got to have a good game. I mean, MANGONE, do you want Damian Lillard at 30% or do you want John Morant at 3%? Right? To me, I mean. I think Morant outscores Lillard easily enough to take that ownership discount. So, yeah, I don't think those guys are bad plays, Lillard and Portis, but I don't think they're as big of locks to get there as the ownership might suggest.
Yeah, like when I used to do my single entry 3-max stuff, like the content on the site, one thing I would always do is I would run I'd run like 20 teams and I have some like uniques on it. And I would look and be like, which studs are like popping up. And if I was getting 5% of a stud, that's a guy that's pretty unique, but he's still popping up. And that could be like a John Morant. I would look and see what the team looks like. And if it had good chalk around it, maybe I'd play that. Like, I would rather have Bobby Portis chalk than Damian Lillard chalk.
Yeah.
100% agree with you on that. But to your point, DC, like if Bobby Portis at 5.8K, if he puts up, let's say he puts up 33 tonight. Listen, I'm signing up for the 33,
Sure.
but is that a slate winning you need to have him? No, it's not slate winner you need to have him type of performance. Like we know what those performances are when it's just like, okay, like this guy's on the winner, like Mike Gesicki yesterday. That was a slate winner. Everyone knew it. It didn't matter. 33 for Bobby Portis is still not a slate winner. I mean, it could be on the winner, but it's not just going to break it. And
he needs to get like 40 plus where it's like, okay, you kind of really had to have him.
Correct. Yes. So that's the key. And the AP's points, there's a lot of good spend up guards rather than forward. So obviously going to be a good game. Another guy too, Donovan Mitchell. Donovan Mitchell could easily put up a ton of points. We love to attack Damian Lillard's defense. I mean, if he's going to be playing a lot of offense, his legs are going to be exhausted and he's going to just, probably get blown by a bunch. So I do think Mitchell is a good play as well, especially with that news. And Okoro's a value.
Yeah, so, I mean, this is probably the most important game on the slate. I mean, so it makes sense we're taking time on it. But like Saberson just updated their projections. I mean, yeah, almost 51 point projection for Dame. 41.5 for Bobby Portis. I mean, what they're doing here, and this is more my style. I think Dame is the guy that could bust, but like they're basically forcing you to lock them in. So like ownership is going to go through the roof on this. Like
they got 41.6 on Bobby Portis.
That seems very bullish.
I mean, they know.
I like that 35 number that you spit out, like 35.5 or something. Like,
42 almost for a projection seems really aggressive.
I'm with Jake Swells on this. Bucks are ass, man. They're ass cheeks.
I know they are.
Yeah. I'm telling you, there's definitely a chance they get blown out pretty bad tonight. They're just not a good team. So we got Jason saying he's taking Cade over Dave. Yeah, I totally get that. Like it's certainly a route that you can go. Yeah. Don't worry. So I'm with you on that. Jason says, "Mangone, go out and vote. This is not a game." I thought that was a funny comment. So there you go. No games being played. We'll make sure to get out there. But let's get to the next one. Unless you guys got anything else. Anything else you want to touch on the Bucks and Cavs? Do we want to talk about the Isaac Okoro stuff? Does that matter enough, AP, for you to discuss further?
He's a defensive guy. He's super cheap. When I ran my stuff earlier, Fontecchio was Simon Fontecchio was popping, and he's a bench guy. And what that tells me, again, all right, so like, do we play him? Now, what that tells me is just the lack of really strong value at the forward position, and it was prioritizing kind of guard and center. So now that changes. Bobby Portis obviously changes that. So if you want to punt value, Okoro, he can get there with peripheral stats. Is he going to be in the winner? I don't know. It's to be determined.
Yep, TBD. DC, I'll ask you this: Drew or Ivy? If you had to pick one on this slate, who would you take?
I'll take Drew there.
Yeah, I think that's my lean too. I'm not sold on the Pistons in this spot. We'll get to that game. That one is not yet. We got to get to the 7:15 game. Golden State Warriors and Washington Wizards. Steph Curry is in, so another spend up guard that you can get to. And listen, Washington's really bad. So if this game is tight, Steph Curry could easily have a monster game. Jordan Poole, will the Poole party be back going up against Golden State? We'll have to see. We'll have to have AP talk about Jordan Poole at 7.8K and see if he has any interest in him. But of course, there's other options. And I know Podziemski, all these guys have gotten price increases because Curry was out. So they're not as great options here, but they still are playing the Wizards. So certainly could still be on the winner. AP, what's your thoughts on this game?
I mean, I'm like Jason Cordham. This chat is like off the rails today. Well, like Mangone, what was your question? I did not even catch that.
the chat is prepping us for tomorrow, but
oh my god,
it's mainly like,
oh.
hey, the price has gone up on these Warriors, but they are playing the Wizards. Well, clearly plays that you get to, and of course you are the Run Pure Sports Jordan Poole guy if we had one. So there you go. Talk about
and again, I saw like Joval popping earlier. That's all going to change, and it's so unfortunate because people are talking up Joval, and I'm like, why would we play Joval against the Warriors? They play small, they run up and down the court. Like, it's just like the worst matchup. Now that ownership's all going to be gone because you have Bobby Portis. Unfortunate, because I would have loved the field to play Joval in this matchup, coming off the bench, playing 22 minutes. Here's the thing about this game. I'm off of it. The Warriors play 100 dudes, easy fades. The Wizards, I'm not. Like, Koulibaly's priced up now. Carrington, like, I know he's playing like 30-some minutes, but like, the thing about this Warriors team, and I bet against them in what I thought was a really nice spot with a good team in the Rockets. And Kerr has done something with this Warriors team. They are very good defensively, especially in transition. It's very difficult to get easy transition buckets against them. I think the Wizards are going to get blown out and embarrassed tonight, especially with Steph Curry back. So I'm under on this game. I think the Wizards, if any of them are going to be chalk, oh man, I think it's really questionable chalk. So that's how I'm playing this game.
All right, DC. With the games being spaced out, this is one where if you want to go grab dinner real quick between 7 and 7:30, I think it's one you could get away from. Like, it's, like, I mean, the Wizards, you never know what's going to happen with them. The Warriors, they play a million options and Curry's back and the prices are up. So, like, not a game I want to, open up my CSV and feel like I have a lot of exposure to, but are there any plays you're looking at?
Yeah, I hope you got a fast car if you're trying to get dinner tonight in between the games. Better step on the gas. I'm off the Warriors side mostly. I mean, yeah, what Kerr say? He's going to keep playing like 12 guys. So in that scenario, it's just not going to be a team that I go to very often when they're mostly healthy, which obviously getting Steph back, they mostly are. Wizard side's a little bit more interesting, but man, do we know if Kaishan George is going to start again? Mangone, do you know?
I would assume he was going to have a lot of ownership. My assumption is he'll be in the starting lineup.
So I think he and Carrington are fine as kind of last guys in, right? If you have the team that you want, if you need the salary savings, I don't have issue with those guys. Again, the cheap chalk, which I think George and Carrington, 4,600 for Carrington, 3,900 for George. It's just less likely to hurt you. And if they do have good games at those prices, they can go a long way toward making your lineup. So I do think both those guys are fine. They're not, the first guy in my lineup or anything like that. But if I land on those two, George and Carrington specifically, I'm fine with it. Okay with Koulibaly, okay with Jordan Poole, but I don't want to get too many Wizards on my team.
Yeah, I listen, if they're on the winner, I'm kind of okay with it. And honestly, when I did my FanDuel run just now, I don't see many of them either. Actually, the funny part is on a 15 gamer, I'm getting like, 1,000,000% Bobby Portis basically. So he's just got to be an option that you're going to love, obviously, today. And he's way better than Damian Lillard. AP, I'm sure you're laughing at the chat right now. Is that
I am, man. I can't help myself.
Yeah,
tomorrow's going to be a great day for content, but
I know I've been trying to think of things I might be able to do on Twitter tomorrow to just, have fun, but we'll see. We'll see if I find any good stuff. Also, we don't have NBA tomorrow, right? So I don't know. Are we diving in the NHL streets? Like, I don't know what we're doing, but there is action on. So there's at least that. I'm sure I will watch.
They didn't cancel the NHL for voting purposes?
Man, I don't think so. I mean, at least that's my guess. But all right, let's get to Lakers and Pistons because Anthony Davis is on a tear. I've been a big believer that he was going to have a huge season. And, I was overweight to start the year and I'm just going to keep being overweight. It's, kind of how I joked about with JT yesterday on our premium show. Like, listen, Brock Bowers on the slate. I'm playing him. Like Anthony Davis is on the slate. I'm probably playing him, especially against the Detroit Pistons. He'll be lower owned. SaberSim showing him at 7%, which seems crazy. You got LeBron as an option at 9K that you can get to. People in the chat were talking about how you can play Cade Cunningham, who's an interesting option. Saw some Jaden Ivey love in the chat as well. I think some of these Pistons are not bad if you think they can compete, right? That's going to be the big debate. Do you think they can stay in it? Because at 6K, if the Pistons are in the game, Tobias Harris will be a good play, right? There's a ceiling there for these Pistons. You just have to decide if you think they're gonna be able to keep it close for sure. But for me, I'm mainly just looking at Anthony Davis as a clear stud option that I want to get to. Austin Reeves at 6'2" and Jaden Ivey. They're interesting guard plays, but nothing else really. I'm not super excited about this game either. AP, how about you?
Yeah, I like this game quite a bit prior to the Giannis news, and I'll still probably really like it. The Lakers looked awesome at home, especially offensively, looked really dominant. On this road trip, they just, defensively, they haven't been as good, especially in transition. The Pistons as well, coming off, so they got absolutely embarrassed by New York. They came back and they responded really nicely against a Nets team that honestly has been playing well above expectation. They've been really scrappy, and I've been pretty impressed with them. And so I think the Pistons are going to play up. Everyone plays up when you're playing LeBron James and obviously the Lakers, Anthony Davis. I was really impressed with what I saw in that game. Now, the matchup was perfect for Jalen Duren. But, man, they need him to play big tonight. He was like one of my favorite, still is one of my favorite leverage pieces on the slate. I think he's going to go like really, really unowned now, especially with the Bobby Portis news. So I'm still really bullish on Jalen Duren. Look at the centers that have just put up big numbers. And a lot of it is due to, if you're a big center, you got to be in there matching up with Anthony Davis. You're mirroring his minutes. So as long as you don't get into foul trouble, the opportunity for putbacks, rebounds, blocks, etc. is going to be there. Pirtle, almost a 50-piece. Jared Allen, almost a 50-piece. Sabonis put up 67. They're going to need a lot from Jalen Duren here. I think he's a fantastic play at like no ownership. I really like Cade Cunningham. Now, Cade was a guy I was extremely overweight on too. He's going to go on up because of Damian Lillard. The other guy is Jaden Ivey, and this is what I was talking about earlier. Like, guard is loaded. Derek White, Josh Giddey, I think is a good play later. But Jaden Ivey here too. Combo guards against the Lakers, against this duo of D'Angelo Russell and Austin Reeves has been a print fest as well. I mean, Grady Dick went off. Like, he almost had a 50-piece against them. So if Grady Dick can do that, Jaden Ivey can go off. So I have a ton of interest in this game. I think I like it even more now that ownership is likely going to go away from it. So I'm still running my stuff, but I'm definitely going to have exposure to this one.
Yeah, I do like the Duren call a little bit, AP, just because I remember the other day I actually played Pirtle on some cash game stuff, and I didn't know if I was going to play him, and I remember seeing him popping up, and I was like, it just doesn't seem like an ideal spot. And then the more I thought about it, I was like, who on earth is going to match him? It's not like Chris Boucher's going to, and you're totally right. You do need to kind of have a big body in there, and as long as he doesn't get into foul trouble early, I mean, there's a huge opportunity there for him to have massive minutes, and if they play well, it's just like Yahtzee, right? It absolutely just prints, and it's going to be low owned. So that's what I meant about the Pistons earlier. Like, in tournaments, there's a clear ceiling with some of these plays. DC, I'll go to you to talk about this one. I do think this is a game that could be a slate winner. Just got to figure out how you want to get exposure to it. So how are you looking to attack it?
Yeah, I think you guys made good points and made me think that this game could be potentially one you could do a little game stack if you wanted to, right? Cunningham, Ivy, Duren, hope the Detroit starters play well. They all get their full minutes, and you play Anthony Davis with a Reeves or something like that on the other side. You could easily see that getting there. Obviously part of the theory behind the game stack in NBA is all your guys got to be out there, right? If it's close at the end, one, and then if you do get lucky with the overtime, you got to make sure you have guys that are going to be out there or have a good chance to be out there for those minutes. And in this game, very easy to predict who's going to be in the closing lineups for the most part with these two teams, and pretty good value. So, I like that. You'll get this game, I think, pretty low owned in general. And, it's got a nice big total and wouldn't be at all surprised if this one stayed close and we saw some values pop here. So I'm with you guys. I do think this is one of the better kind of underrated games of the night to go to for plays.
Yeah, definitely a game that I think we have to consider at least getting exposure to. So I certainly will be. Another game I think we have to consider too is Boston and Atlanta. Now, before we get on here, I mean,
Did you
Luke
say
Cornett.
Boston? Did you get that accent come out a little bit? I like it.
To be fair, since I've been back in Jersey, I'm sure I'm catching some of that a little more again. But yeah, the Boston Celtics, they're in a great spot because they're playing the Hawks, and it's just like this is a spot where if it's a close game, it's going to be an absolute shootout, and you probably will need one of these options, right? They're also missing guys, right? Jaylen Brown is not there, so Tatum's a good play. I think Derek White, Drew Holiday, Peyton Pritchard, all these guys are in play. Luke Cornett was going to be a chalky option on this slate. We're showing at SaberSim now he's at, I believe I see 32%. Let me just refresh to make sure and see if that adjusted. But his ownership is, let's see. Yes, it is still 32%. So he is definitely a big decision point because a third of the field is currently on him. I think that could go down a little bit based on some of the news that we did just get, but Luke Cornett is for sure an interesting play and one you have to decide on at 3.4K. I think these studs are also really good. And then on the flip side, we got to talk about Atlanta because if the game is competitive, it's because Atlanta is actually playing well, right? It's because Trae Young is keeping it competitive. Jalen Johnson is keeping it competitive. These guys are clear plays that we would have to be considering. And if you do think the Celtics do play big, which I think with Jaylen Brown out, you're just going to see them always pretty much have a big on the court. Like that is a good spot for someone like Clint Capella or Onyeka Okongwu. It just depends on who's going to get the minutes in this spot. So this game feels like the last game where it's like, hey, it's not, I got the opportunity to be a slate winner. It has the opportunity to shoot out, but it could also blow out and be a disaster. So AP, break this game down for us.
Yeah. So with Jaylen Brown out, massive usage to Derek White and obviously Jason Tatum. Those two should be priority plays that you are bumping up. Peyton Pritchard, his role stays very similar. I mean, he's been a key six man off the bench, rotating, taking minutes from Drew Holiday, but Drew Holiday is finally priced where he should be, 5,400. That's where Drew Holiday in his role right now, maybe until obviously the playoffs, that's where he should be. Sam Hauser off the bench is kind of what I'm expecting. Keep an eye on this though. And this is what sucks for me. Actually, I'll have time to make adjustments for this one, but we do need the starting lineup. We're all assuming Luke Cornett is starting. I think it was the preseason. Now I could be way wrong. Trying to think back to preseason play, but there were times that they were starting Sam Hauser. So again, we're all assuming Luke Cornett's going to be the guy that starts. There is a world where they shift Al Horford to the 5 and start Sam Hauser. So I would be prepared for something like that. What's the likelihood of that happening? I'm not sure. The projected lineup show Luke Cornett, Al Horford, Tatum, White, and Drew Holiday. But I'm just saying we've seen a lot of lineup changes or different starting lineups that we're used to seeing. So would not be surprised if like Sam Hauser got the spot start here. So that's something I'm trying to prep for. And then the Hawks side, I don't know. I'm probably not messing with them. Jalen Johnson's been awesome, but the matchup's brutal. They're on a back-to-back as well. They are at home, which is nice. The only tidbit would be opposing point guards, kind of like Trae Young, have been sneaky good against the Celtics team too. So they've been a little leaky to opposing guards.
All right, DC, we'll go to you next. This is a clear game where I think there's cash game options on the Celtics. You're going to have to like them. They're good tournament plays too, obviously. They're just strong, good floor and ceiling combinations. And then, of course, you have the Hawks options that could be good tournament plays as run back options. So what are you doing with this game?
Yeah, the Celtics are kind of strange in that they have a lot of depth, right, among their like top 8 guys. But beyond that, they don't really play anybody. So you take one of their main guys, in this case, Jaylen Brown, out of the equation, and everybody gets a bump, both, point per minute and minute wise. And it makes them all, I think, pretty strong plays. I mean, Drew Holiday, I know he hasn't done a ton this year, but 5,400 for Holiday, I think is great. I mean, Pritchard's been on fire, has kind of proven that he can handle and should almost get more minutes. He'll have the opportunity, I think, to get close to 30 minutes with Jaylen Brown out. He looks like a good play. Hauser, 3,500 is fine, even off the bench. Cornett. Yeah, and then, of course, Tatum. So I do kind of like the value better here. The Holiday, Pritchards, Cornett's, Hausers. We'll see what the starting lineup. And then, I've been on Jalen Johnson all, young season so far, but man, I've played him a lot. He is just crushing it every single game. I know, they're underdogs and Boston's good, but I don't mind, playing some Boston. And then Trae Young and Jalen Johnson, clearly the two kind of go-to guys for Atlanta. And if they're going to keep this game close, I think those two guys are going to have another big game. They've been going off regularly. So I do like Jalen Johnson, Trae Young as tournament plays if you are playing the Boston side as well.
For sure. Trevor Bryan asked Horford. I'm not dying to play him in the old Horford revenge game. AP, do you have any interest in Big Al here?
I mean, I don't get on him very much. It's kind of like if he beats me, he beats me. I mean, if you're playing 150, yeah, keep him in your pool. But
fifth or sixth favorite Celtic, probably Horford. So
yeah, especially with Bobby Portis now. Like, if I'm not playing Bobby Portis to play Al Horford, then I should probably just stop playing DFS.
Yeah, I'm not dying to play him either. Let's see. Next game up. Got to find my tab. We are at the Memphis Grizzlies and the Brooklyn Nets. We did get news that Noah Clowney's out. Kevin Love is out. No, nothing crazy so far, I would say. I think we did get one starting lineup. We got Wiggins available, Connaughton available, and then we got the Cavs lineup, so that's fine. Well, yeah, let's talk about this Memphis side because I do think Ja's a really good tournament play. I know people are definitely going to consider Cam Thomas. He's guard and forward eligible, which I think matters a bunch at 7.3K. Cam Johnson, 5.8. He seems like a pretty good, safe, floor ceiling combination play that you could get exposure to in this spot. Dorian Finney-Smith at 4.5K. I mean, he is going to play a pile of minutes. Maybe it's the wrong slate for it, but he's definitely not a terrible play, I'd say, on this slate. And then I know AP talked about Jaren Jackson Jr. At one point. Honestly, I don't think it's a great Zach Edey spot unless they go more Claxton. I guess it just depends if they go bigger or smaller, which is part of the guessing game you're going to have to play with this Grizzlies and Nets team. AP, what plays are sticking out to you here in this game?
Yeah, I mean, I guess Ja was up to 31 minutes, which we love to see that. The Grizzlies got embarrassed by this Nets team at home when it was in Memphis. And that was the game after that we all got Ja at low ownership. I forget the talking points that we're looking at, but I mean, man, the Memphis Grizzlies looked far more motivated. I think they come fired up, ready to go. So Ja's not going to get any ownership at all. Same with Jaren Jackson Jr. The thing is with Ja that I struggle with is they don't need to really push his minutes because Scottie Pippen Jr. has been phenomenal, off the bench. And so that eases things up on Ja a little bit. Biggs against this Nets team has absolutely printed. That's why I had some interest in Jaren Jackson Jr. Tougher play now, but again, he played 31 minutes against Philly not yesterday, but Saturday. I think these are good tournament plays now. Do I trust this rotation? No, but if we can get 30-plus minutes from some of these guys, then yeah, they're in play. Zach Edey, I mean, man, if we could get 25 minutes against this Nets team, I think he could get us 30-plus 25 minutes. But again, not going to be owned, so these are large field tournament plays. I like Cameron Johnson. He's raw scoring dependent, but the Nets have a little bit more bodies there. It looks like they're still managing Nick Claxton quite a bit, so we can't go there. I think the Nets rotation is going to be a lot wider than the Grizzlies.
Yes, it's definitely going to be a lot wider than the Grizzlies. And then the Zach Edey stuff is, I agree with you. Yeah, if he gets minutes, sure, but you kind of have to figure out which way it's going to go. Is the game going to go big or small? And you have to decide, do I want to take that risk on it based on the ownership? DC definitely plays in this game. My favorite would probably be, if I had to pick, it's Ja Morant in tournaments. I think he definitely has the ability to have a strong ceiling performance. If this game stays tight, man, he's going to have a massive game just running up and down that court. Cam Thomas, really good play too, like I said before. Who are some of the guys you're looking at?
Yeah, I played Ja at low ownership in that Milwaukee game, right? Put up 65 fantasy points in 29 minutes. I think you tweeted about it, AP. What was he, 2, 3, 5% owned, something like that, Ja Morant?
Yeah.
Against Milwaukee. Yeah, super, super low because everyone was worried about the minutes. And if you were worried about the minutes then, you probably still kind of are because he only played 20 minutes. In that game, he only played 31 2 days ago against Philadelphia. But the Grizzlies did blow out the Sixers and the Bucks in both those games. Ja missed, I think, 2 minutes in one game and like 4 or 5 in the other. So we would have played 33, 34 minutes had those games been closer, maybe even more than that. He might have checked in, earlier in the fourth quarter if the games were closer. So I'm not really worried about Ja Morant's minutes here. I get why what Saber got him projected for minutes wise. 33 and a half. That feels fair for me for Ja Morant. And I mean, he's crushing right now. Look at who he's playing with, right? No Desmond Bane, no Marcus Smart. I know they got Pippen off the bench, but this is all Ja Morant. We've seen him in situations like this have big games. And recently, I'm not scared of the Brooklyn Nets whatsoever, right? Dennis Schroeder and Cam Thomas in the backcourt. Feels like a big game coming potentially for Ja Morant here. And after the Bucks stuff with Giannis out and Lillard getting ownership, I don't think he'll be this low, but our friends at SaberSim have Ja Morant at 1% owned. He has to be a good play at that number. So I'm in on Ja Morant here, and honestly don't hate Scottie Pippen either. We've been talking about him on the show. I know mostly on the premium shows, this one free, but man, he's playing awesome for Brooklyn right now, and he can play with Durant. I think he could see 25, 30 minutes. I think he's fun as a super low-owned guy as well. But yeah, more on the Memphis side here. Brooklyn probably going to go a different direction overall, but I really, really like Ja Morant as a tournament play here.
Yeah, it's clearly a good spot for John tournaments. I'm definitely going to be in on him as well. All right, let's get to the next one. We have
you guys want? Can I interject real quick and just bring up a really dirty play?
Sure. Who you got?
Our boy Andre Jackson from last year. There were a few times where he printed for us. It did. All right, back to the Bucks game.
He's not starting, just so you know, if you care.
No, it's more of a blowout script. Like all I'm saying, real quick, not trying to go back to that game, but if for some reason you're like under on Dame or like trying to get way different, you should probably be considering a guy like that. Like he's going to be in the rotation, and he would get all the blowout run. That's a pretty dirty play, though.
I kind of like it, AP. What is he? 3?
I know. It's a weird slate. It's a weird slate.
If you're hand building and you're kind of already fading that Bucks game a little bit, and like you're kind of jamming some studs and you just kind of fall on him, I get it, right? It would make sense in that aspect. By the way, Damian Lillard, Trent Jr., Prince, Portis, Lopez. That's the starting lineup that we got here. Let's get to a question from Jason. It's not political, so that's good to hear. Hart and Towns or Ja and Zachariah, DC?
Hart and Towns. Give me the Ja side. My favorite play of the night, Ja Morant.
There you go.
Probably a better play than Risa Sure, though. He's been terrible, man.
He's not quite ready to,
Yeah, he's had his struggles.
He might be fine. Like they just need to develop him a little bit more. I mean, he started off hot yesterday. They clearly don't trust him down the stretch unless it's a blowout.
Yeah. Let's get to Kings and Heat, which I like playing the Kings, but this year it's definitely been tougher to play them for sure. If you look at like the construction of their team with having DeMar DeRozan, like Fox's price, 8,700. I just still want it to go down a little bit. Sponis at 9.8, definitely still doing his thing, but this is not an easy matchup against Bam Adebayo. I'm just not super excited about this game. You could make a Malik Monk case if he gets hot at 5'7". Sure, he's not the worst player, but I think there's better plays to attack. With the Heat, they have Bam, they have Butler, Hero, Rozier. I mean, they're definitely loaded up enough where I don't love getting to these plays. I don't think their prices are bad for Butler and Bam. Like they definitely have the ability to get 50 DK points at that price and be like a slate winner. But I don't know, a game I definitely want to be a little under on and maybe only just attack maybe the Miami studs. And that's it. Because again, the pace of this game is not going to be as great. It is an up in pace, obviously, for a team like the Heat. And Jimmy Butler is definitely the main guy that I'd probably be looking at here, or Bam Adebayo as like a spend up contrarian center option. AP, who are some of the options you're looking at here?
Yeah, this is going to be one of the games I can be quicker on. Not playing a lot from this game. I like Tyler Hero. I think he's one of those nice guard plays, but outside of that, not a good spot for the Kings. I have a small bet on Miami side, and so pretty much off this game outside of Tyler Hero. Have a few shares of him.
All right, DC. Thoughts on Heat and Kings?
Yeah, nothing really popping here for me. I do have Hero as the best play in this game overall as well, but yeah, unless I have to keep swapping every 15 minutes and keep pushing the decision point backwards, I don't plan on landing on too much from Heat and Kings. So yeah, planning to full fade this game on my 3 teams.
Yeah, and honestly, if I need 15 more minutes for the Zach LaVine news, hey, I'm going to get off this game for sure. Because if there's 15 minutes left and we still don't have the Zach LaVine news, it probably means he's probably out or something crazy like that. But let's get to that game. Bulls and the Jazz. I think this is definitely a really good DFS game to get exposure to tonight. I think you're going to want to get exposure in your lineups. We'll start at the top with Nikola Vucevic. He's been really solid this year, 7.9K. He's definitely a good center spend up option. Saber has him as the highest owned guy in this game at 19%, but I do think he is a good chalk option. Zach LaVine is gaining some ownership, but if he's out, that's going to really shift up the slate. It's going to be great for Josh Giddey and Kobe White, who are plays I already like, and it's just going to give them even bigger boosts and plays that we need to consider. Keontae George at 6-1. I think it's a good spot for him. I'm sure AP will discuss the Jazz more than you think because he understands how great this Bulls pace has been. I think he's watched every single Bulls game, it sounds like, from his Twitter timeline. So AP,
I'll fun to watch.
Yeah, I'll give it over to you. Talk about the Jazz. I'm sure there's plays you're going to like. And if LaVine's out, that's going to be a big piece of news that changes the slate.
So Josh Giddey would be chalk coming into the night if he would have shot just a little bit better. Like he would have put up a monster score last game. And now he gets one of the best matchups in the world against a team that plays no defense. I mean, he had 33 DraftKings points and he's 5 for 17 from the field, 8 assists, 6 rebounds. So and that was against the Nets, tougher matchup, a team that doesn't push and transition as much. The other reason why Giddey, I think, is an incredible play is he is always looking to push and transition, and the Jazz are by far the worst transition team by a mile in the NBA right now, giving up a ton of easy buckets. So you're going to have a lot of assist potential and a lot of raw scoring potential from a guy like Giddey. So at 6,900, I don't think he's going to be too highly owned. I have a ton of interest in him. And then you can sprinkle in the Kobe Whites, Zach LaVines of the world. The Jazz side is tougher outside of Keontae George. I think he's in play. And then I don't think you can go there now, but man, I really liked, and this was like a wild kind of YOLO take on hopefully seeing a better, stronger rotation. But John Collins, I don't like Walker Kessler's good, but he doesn't work in this matchup with what the Bulls want to do. And Filipowski just not ready yet. They're not giving him a lot of minutes. So it seems like a spot. If the Jazz are serious, which they're not serious at all. They're tanking for Cooper Flagg, which would be hilarious being on that team because they would be just loaded up with white dudes that can ball. I mean, the Utah would rejoice if they get Cooper Flagg. Yeah, so it's a tougher spot. We can definitely avoid the Jazz outside of Keontae George.
It might be the first NBA draft that it gets rigged for the Utah Jazz. You know what I mean? It's a great landing spot.
You know for sure the conspiracy theorists. If Cooper Flagg goes to Utah, that was rigged for sure.
They'll be clamoring for that content for sure. But Austin Reeves is available. We just got that news in. And D'Lo is available. AD available. Anything else I missed? No, we look good. Yeah, I do think AP brought up a pretty good point with the John Collins stuff. I did bet a bunch of his overs earlier. So listen, I'm rooting for John Collins. And if he gets the minutes, he's a great fantasy point per minute producer. He was great with Atlanta when he produced fantasy points. He's just good at putting up fantasy points. I'm not saying he's a good real life basketball player. I'm not saying I want him to lead my team to a championship, but fantasy wise, he definitely can get the job done. So DC, talk about some John Collins and the rest of the plays in this game.
I mean, you look at all the Jazz injuries and you would think, right, that they would have some guys that are really popping. They're missing Clarkson and Markkanen. I mean, Hendricks as well, 2 of their highest usage guys. But what they do last game, they played, 11 dudes, despite missing both those guys, Clarkson and Markkanen in that game as well. It's just not a team that I trust. Like you said, they're just an unserious team right now. So yes, the matchup's good against Chicago, but I don't know. big slate. I think I can do better than going to these Jazz guys. I do agree John Collins, probably the guy who has the most slate-breaking upside. But, man, it's just hard to trust the minutes really for anybody on this team. And, I think I want to look a different direction. Chicago, not, a huge target. I like the Josh Giddey call there from AP. I think all these guys are fine, obviously, depending on the Levine news. But assuming Levine plays, which, again, don't know that for sure, nothing I really need to have from Chicago.
All right. Let's see. I'm a little stuck because I just noticed I'm getting way too much Corey Kispert. That's got to get fixed. I'm sure there's some error on that. I'll fix that in a second. But
if you need me to keep talking, I can.
That never feels good.
I was scanning everything and I was like, everything looks good. Like, I like this, especially on FanDuel, right? You got Portis you're going to play. And I guess I could run through FanDuel real quick for people since we're premium and there are people playing it. Like Portis looks great. Westbrook looks great. Lillard, Josh Giddey, good play. Jalen Wells, he'll certainly get minutes. So he's a value to help you get in studs. Like Josh Hart's in there, Kobe White, all good plays. And then Corey Kispert. And I got to figure that one out.
We pretty much got Mangone's player pool over there, reading right off the top of his list.
I did it, DC. I'm coring Andre Jackson Jr.
I put him in one of my three lineups for AP. He's in one of mine too.
I gave him. I gave him a low projection too. I mean, obviously, Zach LaVine's out too. Wow.
Well, is he out? I still haven't. Oh, there he is. Okay, so LaVine is out.
So now Josh is out. That game is.
We got the starting lineup for the Wizards is Poole, Carrington, Coulibaly, George, and Sarr. We got Warriors starting lineup: Steph Curry, Peyton Jr. or the second, whatever his name is, Wiggins, Green, and Jackson Davis. So, I mean, it's a clear spot to just load up on these Bulls. It's this is a great time to backload DC and then go grab your food now. You could do that. It's certainly fine. You don't have to rush between the 15 minutes, but I think you're going to like these Bulls a ton. I guess let's address that really quick. AP, how does this shift the Bulls news for you?
I mean, Josh Giddey becomes an awesome play. Kobe White is going to ball out. Vucevic. I mean, look, Lonzo Ball is not obviously is out for a little while. You're going to see Ayo DeSumo have a nice roll off the bench. And this team, no matter what, they're still pushing the pace. So, there is, this and the Jazz play no defense. So these are really, really good plays from the Bulls.
Yeah, again, slate has changed based on this news. We're doing our best to adjust for you guys. Did we get Pat Williams? He's probable. He's definitely.
I thought I saw Josh Giddey illness, and then it said will play. I was like, I'm heavy on the over on this game too. I would have been absolutely screwed if that happened.
I think the play right now is to get off of Lillard for Giddey, just with the late news, right? And Lillard locks soon.
Well, not just that. Like you have him, you have White, you have all these cheaper guards that we've talked about where you can get.
What does Lillard need to put up to where you're absolutely dead? You know what I mean? I think that's an interesting
55 or 60 probably.
Yeah. My list is going to be 55 and then maybe 60, but 55, you're getting uncomfortable, but you could get away with it. It depends what other guys do too, but 55, 60.
What's more likely that people are tilting a chalky Lillard in Discord, going off?
Yeah, I know.
Or tilting him sucking. We've seen the story before is what I'm saying. I mean, obviously on paper, he's a great play, but this slate's wild. This slate is absolutely wild.
Yeah, it's definitely a wild slate.
These Bulls guards look really good. All three of them, right? Giddey, Dosunmu, and
and then you could pay, and then you get to spend up for Tatum, right? Which Tatum's a good spend. It's definitely, I don't know. I'm definitely getting more on hey, I don't need Damian Lillard that much. He's fine. DC, do you have anything else to say on the Bulls stuff, or you want to move to the last game?
No, I just really like all of their backcourt now. I think they're all good values. White, Giddey, and Dosunmu, I think are all three. I don't know if I want to play all three on the same lineup, but I think all three are good plays.
All right. Last game, Knicks and Rockets. I do think Josh Hart is a really strong play. I think he's someone cash game wise you should be considering. Consider him in tournaments as well. Cat, not a bad option, and Jalen Brunson at 8K and 8.3. They just definitely have the ability to have really good games. You could make the case for Şengün at 8-1 as well. It's mainly spend ups. No real values that I'm in love with. Sure, I guess people could make the case like, could Tari Eason get there at 4-8? Yeah, he always has the ability to, or a Jabari Smith, but it's really only the studs that I'm looking at in this game. How about you, AP?
Yeah, I mean, Josh Hart, basically it. Cat, he's been balling. I think he's fine, but the pace is going to be really slow. Both teams are pretty methodical how they play. They like to play in the half court. So not typically one that I like to target. But again, isolating like a Jalen Brunson or a Cat, I think is a fine move.
All right, cool. DC, any thoughts here on this one?
No, hopefully I don't end up with a lot. I mean, yeah, the Chicago team is going to soak up my kind of late ownership. So I won't really, barring unforeseen news, end up with much of anything from Knicks and Houston.
All right, for sure.
I think you either go all in and you hope Dame plays really well. And if he does, keep in mind, like the others, you should be full sacking that game. I think that's how you play it. If you're not playing it that way, it's Bobby Portis, maybe a punt like Andre Jackson. I took him out of my core just because I'm rerunning my stuff. And then there are so many good options later on. Like you're not dead even if those guys nuke. The Boston game could get you back. The Bulls game could definitely get you back. So it's like, and if the chalk busts in the Bucks game, you're going to be set up perfectly. So it's a really interesting tournament contrarian slate for sure.
For sure. If you guys got questions, fire them in. Ricky says, white hero need one GPP. So I guess that's Kobe White, Derek White, or Tyler Hero, AP. I guess rank those three.
Kobe White.
All right. I would rank
and then Kobe, the two Whites and then the Hero.
That's how I would do it. Kobe White, Derek White, Hero. That's how I'd rank it. UDC, same thing?
Yep.
All right, same thing from DC.
I might just load up on Bulls.
Jason, we are not going to talk about the 3-game night slate. That'll be Big T and JSU at 11 p.m. while they talk politics. I'm just kidding. They're not doing that. So, no, we'll be in the Discord talking with you guys and hanging out. So don't worry. We'll take care of that for you. Fire any other questions that you guys need.
Oh man, I wonder if the dude that could nuke in this matchup or he could not play too, but Jalen Smith. Did you see that guy? He had 3 fantasy points in 10 minutes a few days ago. And then he was a DNP like the following game. The old Pacer center that would come in off the bench and smash.
He is your classic fantasy point per minute guy that can just absolutely go crazy. So I totally understand.
I mean, I was watching it and I was just like, I'm like, this dude was just coming down and like chucking up threes. Like he definitely likes the pace that the Bulls are playing.
Oh, for sure. I mean, the Bulls pace is great, and that's going to make this, again, a premier game on this slate that you want to get exposure to. You want to load up on. Like, it doesn't hurt to backload here. I'll say that. Like the Corey Kispert shares I was talking about earlier, good to get off of those for some Bull shares now, for sure. So, yeah, I'm going to make sure to do that here with my FanDuel stuff. Keep firing questions away. Here we go. Is Okoro a fine last piece? AP, what's your thoughts on Okoro here for last piece?
I mean, yeah, he's starting. He's super cheap. He can get there with peripherals. Could he tilt you? I mean, yeah, he definitely could. So, yeah. I mean, maybe wait. Like, all right, so here's the thing. Like, what if Sam Hauser starts and they switch things up? So I think prioritizing, like, waiting if you can, which I'm struggling to do now because, like, when we get out of here, then I'm leaving. But if I had time and I was doing nothing tonight, I'd prioritize waiting with how the slate is, like, chopped up.
Yeah, not all of us have to go to a cello concert tonight, which Lori Marketing just got ruled out. So,
hey, I'm very excited to go support my kids.
Yeah, we know that, but it's definitely not the best activity.
You going to a cello concert instead of watching the Chiefs, AP?
I mean, it's from 7 to 8 my time, so I'll be able to watch. I'll be watching the Chiefs.
Dustin asked, how much Portis do we have? Listen, I just ran my FanDuel stuff. I have 82%. So he's 5,400 over there, and you have to play 2 power forwards. So it's definitely different than DraftKings. But yeah, it's he's a good play. I would say he's probably the best. You could argue he's the best play on the slate, or maybe the Bulls now are. Would you agree, DC?
Who was the first one?
Bobby Portis.
I mean, projection wise, points per dollar, yes.
Yes.
But yeah. But I think he's going to be over-owned on the slate personally.
Okay. How much exposure? Do you know how much exposure you have, DC? Could you, or do you not know?
I'm playing just the 3 lineups like usual, and I don't have any Portis or Lillard. I moved off them both when we got the Bulls news, so we'll see.
AP,
I'll know early. Yeah.
I'm taking an underweight stance too. I mean, I can tilt at my kid's concert if he's going off. I got like 38%, which should be.
You gotta bust out your phone there. Hope nobody see Portis with like 40 points.
I got the screen protector on my phone, so
buckets.
I can have it out.
Yeah, there you
go. Okay, let's see. I'll
pull I have a ton of Ayo DeSumo now.
Yeah, you'll get more of him for sure. All right, let's see. Ivy or George? AP, what's your thoughts on that?
Ivy slightly ahead. I really like that matchup for him.
Yeah. Beanair asked, "You're going to that concert too?" Sounds like Beanair's going to the same cello concert. I didn't know you were allowed to I didn't know you were allowed in your school's Beanair, but apparently you got the good to go. Let's see. Firing any more chat questions? Let's see if there's. I mean, I definitely the amount of Lillard I have is fine. I might bump him down. We'll see. I might do one last update and bump him down slightly. Let's see.
You ever just like run it and you're just like, shit.
Yeah, I mean, I'm
click it and go.
Well, I mean,
man, it's funny when you do that and then you bake. I will say that. I'm all in on the Bulls. Just looking at this, like my highest exposure is Kobe White, Josh Giddey, and I have a ton of Vucevic too.
You know, it always works well when you get on that and last like 10 minutes.
It's like I don't see them blowing out the Jazz. The Jazz are horrible, but like the Bulls without Levine. Like I don't like. Somehow this game is going to print for us.
Yeah, it's definitely a good spot for sure. Yeah, I don't know. I like what I have right now, so I'll probably just leave it and call it a day. Thoughts on Cat? We talked a little bit about him. I do think he's a good play, like for upside, but my favorite play in the Knicks game is Josh Hart, so I'm not really getting to Cat that much. DC, what about you?
No, I'm not getting too much to really any Knicks. Cat's fine though. Yeah, I don't think he's like a bad player or anything. If that's who you landed on.
Okay. Yeah, don't got anything else.
What are the Chiefs going to do tonight, AP? What's the game plan? Mahomes for 17 fantasy points?
One time Sam Hauser start. I think they're going to put up a lot of points. My favorite captain was it's Xavier Worthy, Kelsey, and Mahomes. The one like I think I had like 2 Trey Palmer captains. My thought was if they attack the new corner out there, the weak side. I forget. Yeah. Is it Jalen Watson that got hurt? Was he the cornerback that got hurt? DC. All these names are like running together.
Yeah.
But anyways.
We got less than a minute left. All right, I just got that in. Perfect. That was good. Cade and Duran plays of the day. We should do plays of the day. Any interest? We'll do that in a second. Gary Payton starting. I don't have interest in Gary Payton starting. I don't think he's a good play for me.
Oh gosh. Gary Payton.
No. Plays of the
for the Warriors. No, Warriors are just fade the Warriors. They're gonna play 18 dudes.
He is starting, but I wouldn't play him. I think it's an unnecessary play. Plays of the day. DC, will go to you first. Who's your play of the day?
I will stick with my man Ja Morant. Going to put up another big game at low ownership, which I assume the Giddey stuff, right? Probably even lowers Ja Morant even a little bit further. So sign me up for very, very low on Ja Morant tonight.
All
right, AP, who do you got? Who is your play of the day?
Yeah, I'm going to go Josh Giddey. I'm going to say he gets us a triple-double tonight. And what's his ownership going to be? I think it's like the perfect matchup for him to get a triple-double.
He'll be owned, but that's okay.
I'm not contractually allowed to choose Josh Giddey as my play of the day, so I got to leave that one for you.
Especially in Utah.
Yeah.
I'll go with definitely a little bit of an off the board guy. He's not totally off the board, but I think he's just too cheap. I talked about him a little bit earlier. Let's go with Tobias Harris. He keeps the Pistons. Yeah. He keeps the
Tobias
Pistons.
Harris.
Oh gosh,
Wow.
I got to end the show.
Yeah, I mean,
how do we end on Tobias Harris?
If you guys want to make fun of me,
so many good plays. You go to the freaking triple condom play Tobias Harris. Come on.
I currently have him in my cash game lineup. I mean, I'm gonna be updating every 15 minutes, but he is currently in my DK cash game lineup, DC. So
I hope it loses.
All right. Well, if you want to hunt my head-to-heads, I got some showdown ones tonight. So go find me in the lobby. But I think that's all we got. Be ready. We'll be in the Discord chat with you guys. AP will be at a cello concert. DC and I will be watching the Chiefs game. That's gonna wrap it up for us. Thanks a lot for joining us here on the show. For me, MANGONE, AP, and DC. We'll see you guys later.